Welcome back to Tools and Trails. Today, back in the shop with the XJ here. Developed a little problem with the shifting and the transmission as it doesn't shift. That's the problem. So, I don't know about you guys, but I consider myself at least a medium mechanic, relatively skilled. I get it fixed usually. But when it comes to these automagical transmission things, might as well be just a box of mush. I don't understand it, kind of intimidated by it, to the point where if I take the pan off, I feel like if I put it back on, it ain't gonna work again. So we're gonna go ahead and take it apart and go ahead and see if we can't fix this thing, because what could go wrong, right? Well, in all seriousness, we are going to probably take the pan off the transmission, but there are two things that we're going to look at on the XJ here, and both of which are kind of common problems with the XJs and problems with shifting. And so we're going to do both, even if one of them fixes the other, because the first one is actually really, really simple. It involves the throttle valve linkage up here in the engine bay that controls how much pressure we put to the transmission, and that allows us to shift up or down, that sort of thing. So the other, because the code that I'm getting on the Jeep is a P0758 code, and some of you may have had that before, but that leads us directly to the shifting solenoids that are within the transmission. Now, this Jeep and this transmission has 170,000-ish miles on it. The last 20 of it, as you've probably seen if you're following the channel, pretty rough, okay? So it's been put through its paces. So I do want to check those anyway. It's not going to hurt us to go ahead and change the filter, put a new gasket on the pan, get some new fluid down there. That's all going to be the right thing to do. So what happened is we were coming back from the last run with Jim's Jeep Club, jumped on the Interstate 17 there at Camp Verde, Arizona, and headed south up the Camp Verde hill. Had my foot jammed up under the firewall there, and got almost to the top, and I eased in for a little bit more and to drop that second gear, and the Jeep just kind of went, nope, I'm good. So I did it again, and still nothing happened, except now the engine light comes on, and which kind of thought at first it was maybe my throttle positioning sensor, because that's happened before. When I put the scanner on, it led to the solenoids, so that's kind of where we're headed. So a little service on it is good anyway. So we'll get right into it. Okay, our first adjustment here is going to be with the throttle valve linkage. Some call this the kickdown linkage, running from your throttle body down to the transmission. Now this is what allows different pressures to be assigned to the transmission. Like I said, some people call this the kickdown, because this is what adds when you jam on the gas. This increases pressure within your transmission, allows it to shift down to the next gear. This gets out of adjustment right here, and so we need to adjust this. Now this can cause your transmission to shift funny, either additionally hard if the cable's too tight, or kind of mushy if it's not tight enough. So we don't even need any tools for this. I do think mine is out of adjustment because I've had this throttle body off a couple of times, and I got the spacer down here for an additional 15 horsepower, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, had the throttle positioner off a couple times, and I think I've had it off for that. So simple thing here, we push this button in the middle, push that down, and then we push this piece all the way in, okay? Then we go inside and we step on the gas. When you step on the gas, you want to push it all the way to the floor. Now, yeah, you'll notice this didn't come out nearly as far as it was before. So my guess is that mine was shifting a little softer than it probably should be. So this is a good start. I'm expecting then my transmission to perform as it should. based on this. So that's good, but like I said, we're not going to stop there. I do want to get into the pan and look at the shifting solenoids there, so we'll go there next. Also pretty tight, not surprising. Pretty sure these are the original ones. This is the Asian transmission. Again, I have no reason to believe that we're dealing with anything other than the stock original transmission. There we go. I want to be a little gentle. Again, the clip. Okay, and last but not least, yeah, I think it's that. It's got a little keeper on here, so we're going to want to make sure we don't lose that piece. That arm is entirely in the way. Okay. And let's see if we can just wiggle that out. Plenty to pry on, we just want to be careful a little bit how much force we use. Same kind of clip. Okay, we've got them all out. Take these up on the bench and we'll do some testing. Okay, for testing the solenoids, there's actually two tests that we can run on them, so we'll just run through both of them. One is an ohm test, so we're testing the resistance on the solenoids, and then we'll actually check the power, put a power to them, and we should hear them click when we do that. So keep in mind, solenoid, just like a switch, these solenoids, when they switch and engage based on the computer and the RPMs of the engine, it actually is what shifts the transmission. So these are kind of important, you would think. So let's go ahead and through first. We'll get each one of them and do a resistance test on them. So let's check that. The range we're looking here is, you know, the 12 to 15 ohms, 13 to 15 ohms ideally is kind of what we're looking for. So let's check it out. So I've got all three of the solenoids laying here. You can see the solenoids themselves are essentially the same, but they do have a minor difference. And this one has a little bit different clip, the attachment peg on it. This is the one for the torque converter lockup, and these are for the other two shifting gears. So that's how we'll tell them apart. So first one, what we'll want to do on this side, we want to there's a tab in the center there. That's where the wire on the transmission connects. So we're going to put our positive lead on there, and then the black lead we'll just hold on this bracket. That's the ground, and then this is our ohm meter. We've got this multimeter set to ohms here. See on the 200. So when I put this on and make contact, that one is reading 13.2. Okay, 1, 2. So we're within range, probably a little on the low side, but we're still within range on that one. Let's check this second one here. Same process. That one's reading 16.9, 17 ohms. So that one, I would say, is out of tolerance. We're too high on our ohms. We really want to be below 15. So that one is a questionable solenoid there. Our third one, $13.2. So again, 13.1. So in line with the first one. Again, within range, probably a little on the low side. So takeaways on this, just based on the ohms test, we've got two that are technically within range, a little on the low side, and one that's on the high side here. So not super happy with this. So let's go ahead and go from here. We'll go to the power test. So I've actually got a couple wires hooked up on the battery on the Jeep, so we'll just use that. Okay, just a real simple couple wires connected to the battery. Forgot that I didn't have any alligator clips. Love to have some of those, but we'll make do with a pair of vice grips and just twist this onto the positive side. So just a red wire connected to the positive, black to the negative. So we're going to do the same thing with the solenoids, and what we're looking for is when we energize these, there should be you should hear a click right here in the end of the solenoid. So we'll put a power to this and we'll see what happens. So let's go ahead and start with this one. This is the lockdown one here, so we'll start with these other ones. Whoa! Don't touch the wrong wires. Okay, so have to listen close. We're going to put this on that tab, and then this one will go on the bracket. So we should hear a click. So that one does function. Okay. This one here, same deal. Also have a click on that one, so we're good with that one. This is the lockdown. Same procedure. That one doesn't seem to do anything. I'm just getting sparks here, so I'm going to say that one is not bad. Now, he had the right resistance as far as the ohms go on that solenoid, but for some reason it seems to be froze up inside. So I would say with what we have here, this one here meets the ohms, but we're not getting any movement on it, so that one's not functioning. So that one is bad. I think it was this one of these two. Even though they both function, one of them was kind of out of range on our ohms. So I'm going to say at least one of those is bad, and the other one was kind of on the lower end. So I really think at this point it's probably worth it to just replace them all. We've already got them out. I can get for about 80 bucks, I can get all new solenoids and a filter and a new gasket for the pan. So we're just going to do that. So I think we found our problem. Now it's time to order some parts. Okay, we got our parts in. Took about a week to get them. I got a kit off of eBay Motors that came complete with a nice cork gasket, new filter, so with all the nice little cork gaskets on the back, and then all three of the solenoids here. So costs about 92 bucks with shipping and tax and everything, so not too bad. You can buy these things from a number of sources, but since we had two of these that were bad, I just figured, you know, let's get the kit, let's just do it all. If you're taking that pan off the bottom, you got to get a new gasket anyway, and if you're draining stuff out, especially if you got some age on your vehicle, get a new filter, it's worth it. So I think the kit's the way to go. It wasn't much money, so I'm going to dive right into this thing and start putting them back together.
Okay, the first thing I wanted to show you here when we're looking at this is anytime you drop this pan off, make sure you clean it out. I was a little concerned that because my throttle valve linkage was out of adjustment, that I had caused some damage to the transmission, some additional slippage and stuff on the discs. After looking at the pan, I feel pretty good because there's really not much in here. There's a couple things in here that have fallen off the bottom of the Jeep while it's sitting under there, so I got a couple pieces of mud. I'm not going to worry about that. Even a bug, since it's been sitting under there. This is what you really want to pay attention though to, is these are two little magnets here, and these are going to pick up any kind of metal particles that have come off of the transmission. And so if you rub these a little bit, you'll start to feel, you can see what's on there, and you know, they don't feel too bad. Actually, I thought I felt got a little bit of a particle in there. Might get a couple little things in here, but not too bad. So I don't have a bunch of sludge running around in the bottom of the pan necessarily. There are a couple of kind of larger pieces in here that I'm a little worried about. Can't get that one. I'm gonna have to use some cleaner. This side here has got a little more sludge caked on here, but it feels pretty smooth. So I think that, you know, a transmission with this amount of wear on it, that's probably not too crazy. These magnets you can pick up. So yeah, there's another little piece on there. Probably can't see that metal shaving. So I'm not going to worry about it too much. I think that it's probably going to be okay. So I am going to do a flush on this transmission as well. I'll do another video on that because there's a lot of topics surrounding that issue. But I'm pretty pleased, I think, with just putting this back together, and then we'll address the fluid later. So let's get her cleaned up here. I'm going to need some soapy stuff.
Okay, we've reached one of the, in my opinion at least, one of the most critical parts of doing any work on the transmission, and that is making sure that your pan, all the hardware that is associated with it, is spotless. This stuff should look brand new, because the last thing you want is any of that initial or original sludge, even if it's minor. You don't want to get any of that stuff sucked back up into your clutches and run through your transmission, because that's just going to cause some damage. So your drain plug, you know, that should look like brand new. All of your bolts that hold the pan on, we try to get those just as clean as possible. Ran those through some Purple Clean. Make sure, real important, that you get the magnets that go in the bottom of the pan. Get those stuck back in there, cleaned up first and stuck back on there. So yeah, this inside should look spotless. We even tried to get the bottom, you know, looking its best, and then just in case we do a run where we're inverted, then, you know, somebody can identify us there. So yeah, cleanliness is key. So we're gonna take a little bit of Permatex next and just get this nice cork gasket put on here. Only gonna put that on the pan side here, and we're gonna let the cork do the work up against the transmission, which is also a flange that should be cleaned, scraped, and spotless. So make sure you do that. Doesn't matter if you're just changing the fluid, if you're doing a flush, changing parts, whatever, make sure this is clean.
simple fix as far as the solenoids go. You got a 10mm ratchet and socket, you can pretty much do it yourself. So it's really not that difficult. It was a lot easier than I thought, put it that way. So that's gonna do it for us on this video. Hope you guys picked up a few tips on this. If you're running into this problem with your XJ where it just will not shift, or maybe on your other cars too, I don't know. Yeah, and you get that scan of on your scanner, the P0758 code. At least on the XJs, that's what that is. So, pretty simple to do. Parts are not expensive. And yeah, it's just kind of some routine maintenance. So jump in, get her done. So anyway, appreciate you watching with us. Hope you picked up a few tips, and make sure you're hitting that like and subscribe button. Starting to catch